hey, I'm curious about the upper body workout. How come after doing 2 chest exercises, we don't move straight into biceps? And so I replied, so we mainly do compound exercises first in your workout while you're still at your freshest, right? Because the first kind of like exercises in your workout, you are going to be physically your freshest and strongest, right? So that'll be big, heavy compounds like the chest, back, quads, and shoulders. And then after that's done, we move over to the smaller isolation exercises like the biceps, the triceps, the side delts, the abs, maybe the calves, all those smaller muscle groups that don't really exerts that much like force, basically, right? And then he kind of like rebutted that, saying, shouldn't we do isolation exercises for smaller muscles like biceps and triceps and then compound? Since when we do compound movements, there's more muscles involved. I like it so far, but I just want to understand the methodology behind it. So yeah, basically what I wrote down here, and then I'll kind of like dive a bit deeper into what I said. But if you were to start with isolations first, you're going to pre-fatigue your smaller muscle groups first that are involved with the compound lifts, so you'll make you perform not as strong on some of those key lifts, right? So prime example here, if you are doing a pull workout, so back and biceps, if you were to do your biceps first, while you're at your freshest, unless your goal is to get bigger biceps, then of course you do biceps first. But let's say you do biceps first, it's going to like pre-fatigue your biceps, obviously, but with any back exercise, so whether it's a row variation, whether it's cable row, dumbbell row, barbell row, or a pull down variation, your biceps are involved as well, right? So you may notice that your back exercises now are weaker after doing the bicep exercise, right? Because you pretty much pre-fatigued them. The exact same thing applies with your chest. Let's say you do tricep push downs first and maybe some skull crushers or overhead extensions, and then you move over to like a bench press or like any type of chest press movement, incline press, machine press. You're going to notice that you're not going to be able to push as much weight anymore because your triceps now are pre-fatigued. And so that is why we want to get the big compound lifts done first, so you can give them the most amount of force, and they will still target your triceps or the smaller muscle groups. Again, any back movement or any chest exercise will still indirectly involve some of the smaller muscle groups like the biceps and triceps, right? And after you do those compound lifts, you can kind of like move over to the easier type of exercises like the bicep curls or the tricep push downs and stuff like that, right? So the example that I would or use here is if you start with tricep push downs before doing the bench press, your triceps will be tired and will become the limiting factor on the bench press instead of your chest, which means your chest will not get the maximum amount of stimulus, right? If you were to start with the bench press first, however, you could give your chest your total effort and then later on your triceps as well. Hopefully that did make sense to you. And so really quick little TLDR, train whatever muscle you want to grow first, right? And I've obviously built your guys' program up, but the majority of the time, like especially if you're just starting like your fitness journey, it is always important to kind of like start with like the heavier compound exercises, because there's not like a specific muscle group that you have to prioritize when you don't have like a whole lot of muscle to begin with. Like once you're like a pro bodybuilder, then you may notice some pro bodybuilders do like some different workout splits where maybe they do biceps first or maybe they do triceps first because it's like a lagging muscle group, whereas their chest is like overpowered. But for most beginners at the gym, I would always just advise like focus on like the compound lifts first, focus on developing every muscle group evenly, and it also often makes sense to start with like the heavier stuff first, and then after on start with the lighter stuff. But in general, you don't want to train your muscles first while you're at your freshest, obviously, right? You want to prioritizing certain muscle groups may decrease the effectiveness of others in the same session as well. So obviously, if you train your biceps first, that could negatively impact your back exercises afterwards, right? Same thing with triceps. If you do triceps first, that could negatively interfere with your chest work afterwards in the same session, right? Because you pre-fatigue them. However, with that said though, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, exercises like bench press, close grip press, chin-ups, pull-ups, pull-downs, rows also still targets both the chest and triceps and the back and biceps as well, right? So you will indirectly still hit those smaller muscle groups with the compound lifts, which is why they're called compound exercises, because they involve more than one muscle group. So it's actually, you get a better bang for the buck by doing just one exercise. For example, the squat, for example, does not just target your quads. I mean, it's the main muscle group that's being hit, but it's also targets some of your glutes especially, some of your calves as well. Your core is indirectly involved. You're stabilizing muscles to kind of like keep the bar kind of like nice and rigid on you. So there's a lot of like auxiliary muscle groups that are involved in the compound lifts, which is why they're such a great exercise to start with, right? Training biceps, triceps early can make them a limiting factor in subsequent exercises, like I just discussed, right? So that's kind of the reason why we kind of do that. Hopefully, all of that did make sense to you. If you do have any questions to me or any further questions, please let me know. And yeah, I'll speak to you all soon. Peace.
Now, if you want to be around a community of like-minded people just like yourself who will educate you, motivate you, and inspire you to absolutely demolish your health and fitness goals, come join the Barbarian Squad down below. I guarantee you, you will not regret it one single bit, and I'll see you inside.